Okay, so speaking of energy and how to overcome that, I'm going to turn this over to Rick, our ranch manager, uh, and a very knowledgeable guy with a lot of experience. And he's going to give you some of his personal experience and tip having to do with energy. Okay, Rick.
Well, Marcy asked me to talk a little bit about energy, and I I'm not a kind of a guy who makes a little PowerPoint or something like that. I haven't got time for PowerPoints, and I figure if anybody in this group is interested in what I have to say, we'll say it. And if we have to have further conversations, you can call me, okay? And just so you know, I'm serious about this, okay? So if you need me, call me, right? As far as the energy goes, uh, I've lived in Florida almost all my life since I first came here in 1949. So I've been through four hurricanes in Florida, two things go over your head, you know, the eye wall and all that kind of stuff, and then a South Pacific typhoon. So I can honestly tell you that I've been there, done that. Uh, if you don't think things can happen in Florida that can cause electrical outlets, there was a storm maybe 10 years ago that came through Fort Lauderdale, and 40,000 homes lost power for up to 5 months. Okay, so the modern electrical system is not only very good, but it's also quite complex. So what you can do within your home with your own stuff can be very important. Okay, now I'm not going to talk about the broad scope. I've got some stuff that I found to be really workable over the last 10 years, you know, when we've been in this group. There's a there's a small generator that it seems to be the best value I've ever seen, and it's a Honda generator, and it's a Honda EU 2200i. That's a an 1800 watt portable inverter generator. And what's so good about it is multiple aspects of security. Like if you're in a grid down situation, you know, you really want to have power for the essential things. So the last time I used this, it powered my refrigerator, my small freezer. It powered lights throughout the house, you know, extension cords on the floor. But also at night, it was strong enough to power one of those roll around air conditioners so my wife could actually sleep. All right. So it provided almost everything. And we used that thing for, what was it, a week or two. And the other aspect of it, which is really good, is that it's very economical on fuel. When I was just powering lights and stuff like that during the day, this thing would run for 11 hours on 1 gallon of gas. 11 hours. All right. Now, at night, with a bigger load for an air conditioner, it only did it for about 6 hours. But all during that time, while this generator is running, you could stand 10 feet away and you wouldn't know the damn thing's running. So your neighbors are not going to come looking for power from you unless you invite them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay. So that's the generator stuff. If you don't have a generator, this thing is for right around $1,000. And I've had mine for like 4 years now. And every quarter or maybe every 6 months, I'll go out there and I leave it empty, no gasoline in it. There's a little product that you can put in there, like one of these gas extenders. Just put a little bit in there, crank it a few times, and it'll never freeze up on you as far as like old gas turning into varnish. Okay. So
I have a question. Is
go ahead.
that safe to have in the house?
No, you can't run these things in the house because the
Okay.
product is carbon monoxide.
Oh, I see.
But what
Okay.
you do is you just go outside your back door, you know, and crank it up out there. I would chain mine to a post or something like that, so we can have a neighborhood boy coming over and lifting it. But and then you run it outside, making sure all the exhaust stays outside. Close the door, extension cord through the door. Okay.
I gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Next subject is this. In all of these situations, you have so many things you rely on. You rely on flashlights, you know, whether it's on your forehead or in the drawer next to the bed. You have little things. Maybe your phone is on again, off again. I don't know with the phone service, but if it's going to run, you're going to need to have it charged. Your portable computer, your iPad, your little walkie-talkie or your ham radio. They all operate on batteries. So if you're in a grid down situation, you have to have some way of charging your batteries. And if you have that generator, you can charge that as well as USB things. It's got all the ports in it. But if you want to be a little bit more broad scope to your preps, you should have some way to charge your batteries that doesn't rely on gasoline. This is the kind of thing you could carry in your car or your truck. So no matter where you are, you can recharge your flashlights and things like that. And you rely on rechargeable batteries. And so what I've found in a lot of cases is people aren't willing to spend the money to get a good quality rechargeable battery. I'm not talking to you, but if you don't buy really good equipment that is essential in an emergency, you only get what you pay for. All right. So the better the battery means that it holds its charge for a longer period. All right. So the batteries over the years, I bought almost exclusively a brand name called. Anybody, let me see, what is it? Where is it?
Battery
Shit.
lineup.
Oh, I didn't even print the right. Oh, here it is, spelled on here. The brand from Panasonic is Eneloop. 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 And they have 3 grades of quality. And you can buy the middle one or I've tried both the professional level and the middle one, and they're pricey, no doubt about it. And of course, they supply their own chargers. But the good news is that I've been using the same brand for about 5 or 6 years. And at the same time you buy batteries, you buy one of these. And this is nothing more than a battery tester. All right. So if you pick up a battery out of a box and you haven't used it recently, how would you know if it's a good battery or not? Or if it's charged, or did you charge it the last time? So I've gotten here's a kit that I put together. It's nothing more than a waterproof container. And inside are these little boxes of batteries, different kinds of batteries, and the labels on them tell her whether I charged them or not. At AA, AAA. I have dozens and dozens of batteries because I have them in my truck. I have them in my get-home bag. I have them in my patrol bag. I have them in everywhere. And I have the ranch too, so I have sets up there. And so you have the batteries. You have a battery tester. This all goes together. You have some way to keep all these batteries together and clean and dry. This is a waterproof bag. And in my case, you also have one of these. These are the things that charge it. And when you decide how to charge your batteries, when you get to a certain point, you'll find that, oh, what if I don't have a generator? What if the person I'm bugging out with doesn't have a generator? There are small iPad-sized solar panels that are sold that are good quality. They're a very mature product these days. And I have about 4 of them. And I have 4 of them with 4 of these bags and 4 sets of batteries. And you just put that thing out there on the top of your car or whatever, and you run the USB cable in there or the regular power cable, and you just charge your batteries. So it's kind of like a whole set. That's the system that supplies your energy, which will also, by the way, the solar power can charge your computer, your iPad, your phones, whatever that you find necessary. And then it can also go into these batteries that would power your ham radio or your walkie-talkie. So that's kind of like, that covers so many flashlights and so many little things that I would consider anybody who hasn't got that to be totally unprepared, because there's nothing worse than being in the dark in an emergency. All right. Did I talk too fast?
No, well, somebody is asking for the name of the generator again.
Oh, it's a Honda brand, capital E, capital U, 2200I, as an island. The best place to buy it in this area is a place called Quality Mowers. It's Mowers. they primarily are a landscape, equipment company. But the best part about them is they always have really top-notch mechanics there. So never buy something like a generator unless you've also lined up the guy that's gonna tune it for you, year to year. Okay?
Good, I put that in the chat in case anybody missed it. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I do, Barbara.
Yeah,
Dark.
Barb.
Well, dark.
Yeah.
So if you put the batteries in your waterproof case, they won't start rotting and exploding and all of that.
That's the whole thing. In Florida, you have nothing but humidity, right?
Yeah.
So you've already brought up a good point. So if you leave batteries in an appliance like a camera or something like that too long, just the ambient moisture in Florida, or maybe you're someplace where things get hot and cold, they're in the sun, they're in the shade. But when they cool off, they can condense moisture out of the air.
Right.
That's when you really start wrecking your equipment and your batteries go bad. So batteries are just like anything else. They have to be checked. I have all this. I've probably checked it in the last couple of years. I've probably checked these things 6 times just to make sure that and that's how you find out if you have a bad battery. Sometimes you'll charge it and it doesn't hold a charge. Well, you just toss it. You don't want to find out in an emergency. Okay.
So do you take them out of the equipment while you're not using them and put them in the dry, waterproof bag?
No, actually, you wouldn't do that. I have like game cameras and stuff like that, which, I don't use very often. I don't leave batteries inside that because I don't want to ruin the camera. All right. And I'll just take the batteries out and put them back in the charge them up and put them in the cases. But for something like, I probably own 20 flashlights. I keep a flashlight in every drawer in the house, in the truck. I've got flashlights everywhere. In fact, sometimes I trip over them when I'm going to the laundry. And, so those things, you always keep the batteries in them because you're going to use them on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
And and if they're rechargeable, when they go dead or something like that, you go back to your setup and you complete the cycle of action. You take new ones out, you put the new ones in there, you recharge the other ones and put them back in your case. So you always got a loaded gun.
Yeah, makes sense. Good, thanks.
I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
You showed the recharger, and it looks like what I have for my extension course ones, the ones that come with a little CD player,
Mhm.
but those plug into the wall. How does that thing recharge batteries?
Well, this thing right here,
Yeah.
when you get a little bit better one, this is from Panasonic, the same company that I buy my batteries from.
Uh-huh.
The good thing about these at this level is you can put one battery in here and it'll recharge it. And this thing will
But
do
it plugs into the wall, doesn't it? Into the outlet?
That's right.
But if you don't have any outlet, how do you recharge your batteries?
Well, if you have
Oh.
the generator that we talked about, they have a row of outlets on the side, right? And if you have,
Oh, I see. Okay. I got it. Okay.
You also
And-
have the possibility of getting a
Definite
solar
lack of
charger.
mass here.
Okay.
Huh?
What was that?
You could also get a solar charger so that you can have a solar panel and it has outlets that you can.
Oh, do they? Okay, good.
That's-
All right. Thank you.
All right, and the solar panels also have they've got various kinds of wires with them, one of which would be a USB type, so you can
Okay.
charge all your phones
Oh,
directly.
good. Okay, cool.
No,
Thank
just the other bit of caution, it's like, don't think that these things are cheap. If you go buying this kind of stuff on the cheap, you're risking your life. I mean, what was that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, sound like a howl. Anyway, if you just go looking for buy it on the cheap, don't go to Harbor Freight for this stuff. Don't go to the Walgreens. All right, buy it online. Buy from a professional company like Panasonic. They're not the only company out there. I just have a long experience, and get good equipment. Okay, for instance, this thing here I bought it. It's Chinese. It was really great, ran perfectly for about a year and a half, and now it's not doing its perfect job. So I got to find a better line of these, but you'll notice that it can check any kind of battery that I've got. And so if you go through your personal effects, like if you've got any kind of a medical device or something like that, you'll find it takes some sort of weird battery, right? Some different
Yeah.
size. And so you should at least survey your personal appliances to make sure that you've got all the batteries you need. in a little bit of quantity, and buying them like this, they're relatively cheap. And this thing will test them too. Okay. So that's pretty much the whole package right there. And if you bought everything I told you today, you'd probably spend for the generator $1,000 plus tax. But I haven't had to have it tuned in 3 or 4 years. So it's just as it goes. You'll have to make sure you keep a couple of gallons of gasoline around. That's another subject, but there's a lot to know about it, and I can help you with that too. Okay, how to make gasoline last 3 or 4 years in a can. All right, it's possible now.